Good to go ahead and get started? Okay.
Barry, I know you got a lot of new faces in that quarterback room. What's been your focus first several practices here with those guys?
I think it's, the obvious, getting them to know the offense, not just taking it from what they've learned in the classroom and applying it on the field, how it fits, the flow of practice, how we play the game here, like what our expectation is. Not that we, have the market cornered on, it's just a different style probably of play that maybe than were the guys that, especially the two that transferred in. And so all the things you would expect from an early spring practice, learn the offense, get comfortable with the way I'm coaching them, and learn and make corrections. And because mistakes are going to be made at every position, and it's just we can't have the same mistakes show up repeatedly. Once you make a mistake, let's get it fixed and go on. And that's kind of how we're going about our business.
Is there any different kind of way, like, do you coach any different? Because in spring, mistakes are probably a good thing because you can get them fixed. I mean, how is spring different than fall camp?
Yeah, there's a balance there of mistakes. You don't, obviously ball security is a premium at the position. You got the ball in your hand every play, and you got to take care of the football. And so those types of mistakes are things that you have a pretty short, amount of patience for, and but understanding that also when you have the ball in your hand that things are going to happen. The main thing are those things that I can control. Was it a physical mistake, or did my eyes and my read and my progression or seeing the wrong coverage did that create the mistake? So but yeah, to your point about, and generally it's okay to make a mistake as long as you get it corrected, and that's at every position, but obviously specifically to the quarterbacks, this is an important part of that.
Is there anything you can tell us yet about the depth chart at quarterback?
We're just rotating a lot of guys and getting a lot of opportunities for, 4 guys are getting the bulk of the reps, and Donovan and Kirkland and then John and Luke all have kind of shared an equal load early on here in camp, and I think we're certainly starting to see things on a daily basis from all of them that are positive. But yeah, we're still kind of in that mode of kind of spreading the wealth around a little bit and seeing what they have to offer on a daily basis. We're not in a rush there.
Barry, how much do you balance getting installed before the end of spring and player development in a sense of what you want to get accomplished, and knowing that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you really kind of start on day one of the fall right back where you started on install?
Yeah, that's right. You kind of start over each fall. And
so if you're starting over in 4 months, is it really that critical that you get as much you want installed?
I felt like last year was probably important that I got more installed, and this year it's probably going a little bit slower pace, because I know the majority of our players, a lot of our players I should say, they've been exposed to a lot of the things that we do from A to Z. So this particular time around we're being a little bit slower, and the way we're going about doing it, I feel quite the urgency to get everything in up front, to teach, we got to teach this, got to teach that, because I think conceptually our guys understand what we're trying to do now. For sure they do. And so yeah, we're kind of going about it a little bit different. But my goal is before the end of spring is up in those 15 days that we probably hit, probably 90 to 95% of the things that we would ever want to do in the fall.
I would imagine being in person, hands-on, what have you noticed different about Luke or different about John, or what have you learned about them?
Yeah, sure. Obviously it's different than being around them and being them on the field, and you get a better feel for their personalities and how they interact with their players, how they handle success, how they handle failures, and what they see, what they don't see. There's a lot of things. I could go on and on about what you learn in a short period of time, but I've liked what I've seen from both of them. I think they both are talented throwers, and can tell that they have been that they've got experience, even though it's not a vast amount. John obviously has the most amount of experience of anybody in our room, and you can tell that. You can tell that this was somebody that played 12 games and started 12 games of major college Division I football, and then Luke also has played in enough games and environments. You can tell that he's been coached and trained as well. So you can those two things show up.
Beyond Isaiah at receiver and Williams, where are you now? Do you see other guys kind of rising occasion there as well?
Yeah, I sure do. And I think Casey Washington last year at the the end of the season started playing his, I think, best football, and I think he's kind of picked up where he left off there. I think he's proven and continues to prove that he's capable of making plays. He's strong and fast and can high point the ball. Has been really pleased with him. I think Pat is just so consistent. in his performance and the attitude that he brings on a daily basis. And so I think there's a great deal of trust with both of those guys. And then we're building other guys behind those three. Those are the guys, that have played the most for us, the unreturning, and that shows. And feel really good with where they are in their development and what George is doing with them. But then, as Sean Miller continues to get on the healthy scale, he continues to show really, really positive things, and really excited to get him back in the fold, full go. And but as you start naming names, Hank Beatty's had some of his best days since he's been here. So I think we got a crew of guys that Keon Battles flashed. Ashton's getting better, and but those all those guys have had their moments early on in camp.
How do you feel like Robbie can help you, not only in the tight end room, but what you want to do offensively as you guys try to get better in the red area?
Well, yeah, I think it takes a village. It takes a village to run an offense, and it's not a dictatorship. It's a democracy. Ultimately, I get one more vote, at the end of the day than most of them, and then Coach B gets one more vote than me, or however that works out, But it's kind of, and I talk about that openly in our room, and I think everybody, whether you're an analyst, a support GA, or that you've got a voice, that we need you to have a voice. They have responsibilities, and so having a fresh set of eyes from fresh experiences or different experiences is always a way to enrich you, and as long as you allow that to be absorbed, and that's certainly an environment I try to foster. And so obviously him and Thad both are coming in with a whole unique perspective of just fresh off their seasons, their experiences of coaches about there's constant communication or conversation about these types of things, and like, okay, we're doing it out of this formation, and have you ever done it out of a condensed split before? And Thad's like, oh yeah, we did that last year against TCU, and it shows a film clip. Oh, I really like that. Or Robbie says, yeah, when I was at Toledo coaching tight ends, but this is how we got the ball. So there's a lot of collaboration in that regard, and so that's a really positive thing.
You have some returning guys that anchor the offensive line, but who are some of the guys that have jumped out at you that are going to fill those vacancies, fill the holes that you have?
Yeah, you're saying apart from the guys, the obvious.
Like Isaiah,
yeah, sure. We know those guys are
Julian.
playing good ball, and right now, Kreutz is doing a good job at center, and Josh Geske has had some good days. As I think he's really improved, and I think that's been a really positive thing for us to see from him. Slaughter can just continuing to be consistent. He got some experience last year, so we've got a lot of repetitions available for guys that haven't played a lot of football. Ones where you're a 1 or 2 are developmental, and so every day they're being judged and measured and coached and pushed to improve. And so we've seen that in all those individuals, but just the guys that working with the first group. I think Getzke has been a guy that's made some really nice steps forward lately.
Obviously, you want quarterback to kind of make an impact, to try and be a leader. What have you seen from Luke? Coming in as a new guy, trying to do that.
Yeah, everybody's got their own personality. We've talked ad nauseum about that, and that's, but it's everywhere. Everybody is intrigued about, the quarterback and their style of leadership. Because look at the NFL, for example, you probably see a bunch of different types of personalities and leadership of guys that lead their organizations, and obviously that's true for, everywhere in college as well. And so the big thing is they have to be who they are. They have to be who's God made them to be, and their personality. And there's all types of them. Just like in everyone in this group right here, everybody's got a different personality. The same's for the quarterbacks. But the one thing, common denominator you have to have is you have to have the ability to lead. And it's been clear that one of the ways that Luke goes about that is he's relational. He's very relational with the players. Works very hard at it, and it's very organic. It's like when I say works hard, that sounds like he's trying hard, and that's not really true. But he's very intentional, is the word I would say, about his relationship with the team, and not just the offense but the defense. And I think that's been something that our whole team, our coaching staff, has noticed, that each day and each week goes by, people get to know him better and better, and I think he's done a nice job in that regard.
Coach, were there things last year you didn't get to that you felt like different style, play-wise, whatever, that you're looking forward to doing maybe more so this year?
Yeah, I don't know if there's always concepts. There's always a concept or a run scheme that, you look in the off season, somebody else is doing, and it kind of makes sense for you to look into it. And But on the flip side of that, a lot of times are some of the things that you go back and you look at, you realize that maybe trying to add things or trying to do too much stuff was some of the root of maybe not executing at the level that you need to be able to execute. So that's always the balance and the struggle, is trying to figure out, do I need to add more or do I need to subtract some? And I think that one of the things that I was convicted of, and we were as a staff, going back and watching the season, reflecting, is like the core of who we are, like the core of our identity and what we're trying to be. Those are good things. And when we stay within our core, good things happen. And we just got to continue to expand that just a little bit.
I just want